Hello, everyone. Welcome to Daily Devotions today. So, we're going to spend this week in the book of Mark. Our scripture on Sunday for this week was Mark chapter 7, starting at verse 24, and then we went through 37. I'm going to break that up this week and just focus in on a few different pieces so we don't have such large scripture to talk about. So, today is Mark 7 verse 24, and I'm just going to read the story of the Syrophoenician woman, and we'll see what happens. From there, Jesus set out and went away to the region of Tyre. He entered a house and didn't want anyone to know he was there, yet he could not escape notice. But a woman whose little daughter had an unclean spirit immediately heard about him, and she came and bowed down at his feet. Now the woman was a Gentile of Syrophoenician origin. She begged him to cast the demon out of her daughter. He said to her, "Let the children be fed first, for it's not fair to take the children's food and throw it to the dogs." But she answered him, "Sir, even the dogs under the table eat the children's crumbs." Then he said to her, "For saying that, you may go. The demon has left your daughter." So she went home, found the child lying on the bed, and the demon gone. So there's that story. I'll just draw in first of all on Jesus' words, "Let the children be fed first, for it's not fair to take the children's food and throw it to the dogs." It was a pretty common belief amongst, well, that's the Jews' thought, that God's blessings came to the Jews first and then to everyone else through the Jews. I don't think people were understanding what that meant or how that would work, but that was the idea. And so non-Jewish people, in a sense, were despised in that way. These are Greeks right now, and so they would have looked down on her. I don't know why Jesus is looking down on her. I can't actually explain that away, other than I think it's interesting to watch Jesus' transformation. But more, let's just move backwards and look at verse 24, where Jesus, or where the text says, "From there he set out and went away to the region of Tyre." Right? From there he set out, and the from there is Jesus is right now arguing with the Pharisees and the Jewish leaders about the proper way to really live out their faith and be Jewish, be children of God. And so what ends up happening is Jesus leaves the crowd. He enters this house. The disciples are talking to him. This is what sets all this up. The disciples are talking to him, and Jesus ends up saying, um, "You fail to understand. Do you not see that whatever goes into a person from outside can't defile?" So he's talking about hand washing. He's talking about food specifically. He's talking about the things outside things cannot defile, since it enters not the heart but the stomach and goes out in the sewer. Thus he declared all foods clean, Mark's text says. It is what comes out of a person that defiles, for it's from within, from the human heart, that evil intentions come: fornication, theft, murder, adultery, avarice, wickedness, deceit, licentiousness, envy, slander, pride, folly. All these evil things come from within and they defile a person. And he's even talking about intentions. And I think that's interesting. But then we move to this Syrophoenician woman and her faith. And what I find profound about the story today, anyway, is Jesus is essentially practicing what he preaches. I mean, I think of it just in that way. He's practicing what he preaches. He finds this person who shouldn't have faith, who shouldn't have a a desire in their heart um, that they have. And so here's this woman who has faith in her heart, who has desire for her daughter to be healed. Now, I called it on Sunday. I talked about desperation, and I talked a little bit about that, and we'll talk more about that tomorrow. But um, he finds this person with faith in their heart, and he responds to that. And it was simply faith that addressed their need to the right person, to Jesus, and he responded to that. And I find that fascinating to think about. Um, Jesus engaging this woman and offering her God's promises for all practical purposes. She doesn't know anything other than she was excluded from God's love based on what she knew about Jews, and here she is. And for me, I think that just helps us think about one, practicing what we preach, but two, engaging people and finding out what's in their heart and questioning what's in our own hearts and coming together around a common need for God and God's presence in our life and to think about that. So I'd invite you today to practice what you preach in terms of that and look out at the rest of the world and see them as Jesus might see them, in need as well, and know that God's present and active in the world.